All right, good afternoon. My name is Emmanuel Potufi. I am the managing consultant of Astute Business Consulting. We are a management consulting firm based in Tema. Our scope of services range from business plan development, feasibility studies, financial modeling, business proposals. And we do market research among several other services. One area of interest for us is business growth and development, i.e., business growth support targeted at SMEs across Ghana. And the concept for this session is to make it possible for as many local businesses as possible to be able to benefit from the international best practices of running businesses. When we engage with or when we read about global businesses across the world, it comes to us that their practices and then the processes they follow to run the organizations are too far fetched from us in the sense that they are world class standards that local businesses in Ghana cannot emulate. And so we run our businesses in the most primitive, the most basic ways. And these primitive or traditional ways to run our businesses make it very difficult for us to scale up, make it very difficult for us to expand our businesses to reach the levels that we aspire to get in. We struggle to grow our businesses to emulate the growth trajectories of businesses across the globe. And these businesses across the globe are able to reach these levels because of very simple practices that they adopt. They're able to reach these levels because of very basic processes that they employ in managing the organizations. And it is these processes that our goal as Astute Business Consulting is to help local businesses in Ghana emulate so that we can apply these processes to scale up to the level that we all dream of getting to. So that is the background for this training program that we have put together. And we really believe that when you diligently commit to everything that everything that we put together in our various sessions, the discussions we have, by the end of it all, you would actually experience tremendous changes in your business organization. This is actually meant to be a bit more interactive than what we normally have. Ideally, I should finish running through my slides before I invite questions. But if you have questions along the line, you can just type them into the chat box. I will respond to them along the line. So, with all that being said and done, I'm going to set the ball rolling. So, our topic for today is facilitating SME growth by helping SMEs apply the ISO 9001 standard in their businesses. Like I said before when I was starting, my name is Emmanuel Potufi. I founded Astute Business Consulting a long time ago, and I'm currently the lead consultant on the team we have here. So, all right, we're having additions. So, as and when they come on, we will add them on. So, let me welcome you all once again to our ISO 9001 2015 webinar training. Our agenda for this session is to introduce ISO 9001 to you, the trainees who form, let's say, a segment of the SME sector in Ghana. Majority of you, I'm assuming, are business owners or aspiring business owners. And if you are business owners, you are probably in the early phases of growth, trying to scale your organizations. And so, like I was saying before, scaling or growing your organization is not done in a vacuum. You need to follow some very intentional procedures and approaches and standards to be able to elevate your business from where it is now to where you dream of it getting to. So we'll look at what ISO 9001 2015 is. We will discuss the benefits of ISO 9001 2015. We'll look at how to implement the standard in your business organization. And then we'll look at the various parts of the whole standard. So today's is an introduction to the whole concept of ISO 9001 2015 management standard. There are close to about 8 different parts of the standard. Each part addresses a specific area of every business organization and how to manage those areas most efficiently. So we will in subsequent sessions discuss each part of the standard. However, today I'm going to give a holistic overview of everything related to the standard and then the various sections thereof. So now let's discuss what ISO 9001 2015 is. As you can see here, it's a worldwide standard for quality management systems. What it means is this. Usually, when I'm having these sessions, I try to draw as many analogies as possible to make the concepts as practical as they can be. So, I don't mean to denigrate any brand, but then there are some banks that when we walk into here in Ghana, we enjoy very good service. The very good service refers to how fast we are served, how receptive the staff of the bank are, and then how well we are made comfortable in these banks by the facilities and all that there are. And then there are some other banks as well that when you walk into, it's more like a market you've entered, particularly in certain locations of the bank. There are standards and then their approaches to customer quality is quite low. I'm I'm putting these two scenarios across for you to understand that every institution has the standard by which they run. Some have high standards that are focused on making their customers very satisfied and very comfortable and happy. Others do not really have standards that focus on making their customers happy. So whether their customers come into the bank and then they sit, they stand, they queue for how long, it's not really a matter of concern for those banks. So each institution has a standard by which they deal with their clients, they deal with their systems and practices. Some institutions may have better practices than others. However, across the world, there is one standard that if every business organization is able to follow, if every business organization is able to apply this standard to running their internal affairs and then in running their internal and external affairs, they establish satisfaction in the eyes of every stakeholder, including customers, including staff, including regulatory authorities, including shareholders, directors, everybody related to the business gets satisfied. When I say standard, I'm referring to let me call it the rules and regulations of running a business. Let me call it like that. The rules and regulations of running a business that makes it possible that your business runs most efficiently and effectively to make your customers happy. And once customers are happy, they patronize your products and services more. The more patronage they give to your business, the more they refer your business to other people. And then the more your revenue grows, and then the more your finances in business grows, and then the more your business expands. So that is the trajectory. This standard ISO 9001 is targeted at how to run your business or how to organize your business to make your customers happy. So the target of this ISO 9001 standard is customer satisfaction. That is something I want us to understand from the very onset. ISO 9001 was developed by an organization called a global organization that is into the business of documenting. So it is into the business of developing and documenting standards that are focused on guiding the effective management of various aspects of businesses. So we have ISO 9001 2015 that is focused on how you can make your customers happy. There is ISO 14001 that is focused on how to run your business in a way that will protect the environment. Okay, that will help you understand what you should do and what you should not do in order to protect the environment. There is ISO 45001 that looks at making your employees and then the public and then the tangible assets in your organization safe from any damage. So there are different categories of the ISO standard. What we are looking at today is ISO 9001 2015. So I'm sure that is enough of a background for the whole standard. So if you didn't know ISO 9001 before the session here today, I'm sure you have a better understanding of it, and then you can grasp the various concepts that we're going to discuss as we go along. So, like I was saying before, it helps businesses improve their processes and make customers happier. That is what it's targeted at. And it is like a guidebook that teaches you how to run your business better in very simple terms. Let's go on. So we have the key concepts of ISO 9001. Four key concepts that there are four key concepts that we have to look at. They are customer focus, that is putting your customers first and making sure they are satisfied. That is a very strong concept of the ISO standard, customer focus. Then there is leadership. We are looking at strong leaders who care about quality and make things happen in their businesses. So, concept number one is customer focus, how you can focus on your customers. The second one is leadership, how you can build systems in your business that will allow your leaders in the organization to manage the business in a manner that will enhance productivity. Then there is process approach, managing your business as a series of interconnected steps and all that. So process approach refers to how you carry out activities in your business according to written down processes and procedures. So that if you have your business running and then you have various activities you perform, such as receiving customer orders, carrying out the operations in your business, managing your finances. For each of these tasks, you are supposed to have written down processes that show you how to carry out each of these processes, sorry. So process approach is another key concept of it. By the time we finish with all the sessions, you would have understood how to document processes for your business and how to carry them out in a manner that you yourself, all your employees, and all the stakeholders in the organization can follow, so that nobody does things off the top of his or her head, but follows specific written down processes to carry out the affairs of the organization. Then there is continual improvement, which relates to always finding ways to make things better step by step. When you establish the ISO 9001 standard in your organization, regularly you need to be monitoring how well your business is performing or your business is growing as a result of this new standard that you've implemented. So you need to be monitoring, you need to be measuring to assess how you are continually improving. For instance, if in the past you used to get five customers a month, and through this ISO program that you'd have implemented in your organization, your customer base grows to maybe 5 to 10 to 15, 20 each month, like that. Then you have a way of monitoring and then continually improving your affairs. Like I said, if you have any questions, you can just post them as we go along. All right. Then let's look at some of the benefits of implementing ISO 9001. I enumerated a few of them earlier on, but these are specifics. So, happy customers. The whole target of ISO 9001 is to get our customers to be satisfied and happy with how we handle them, with how we treat them when they engage with us as a business. So once you have this ISO standard established in your business, you get to be able to establish various systems, various procedures that allow you to run your business in a way that makes customers happy. I may be talking in the abstract with some of the things I'm actually saying, but when you go along further down the discussion, you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about with practical examples. So ISO 9001 makes your customers happy when you're able to establish it. It allows you to run your organization smoothly, i.e., things will run automatically. Everybody knows what he or she is supposed to do at any given point in time. Nobody gets up and then does things according to how he or she thinks things should be done. Once the procedures are written down as this is how we do this. You start from step one, step two, through to step three, and then step four and five. Everybody who is going to carry out that activity will know exactly how to handle the various steps. So nobody deviates from anything. And then also, when employees leave the organization and the new employees come, once all the processes have been documented and written down, it takes very little effort for them to acclimatize to the new environment and then work, because all they need to do is to refer to what has been written down and then follow what has been written down and then carry out the tasks. Then more credibility. ISO shows others that you are serious about quality and then can be trusted. What this means is this. Let me give you an example. If you are a service provider in certain industries like oil and gas, like mining, oil and gas and mining, let me use these for example. If you don't have ISO certification, if you don't have certification that proves that you run your business in a way that makes customers happy, you run your business according to the world class standard of ISO 9001, it's virtually impossible to get any contract or job from these industries. It's absolutely impossible. When they are inviting service providers to deliver service for them, if you don't have these certifications, they won't consider you because they deem their industries, i.e., the oil and gas and the mining industries, as being world class, and they go by world class standards in everything that they do. So if you don't have these certifications, ISO 9001, which you are discussing, if you don't have ISO 45001, ISO 14001, forget it. They won't even entertain you. Well, that is on the upside. The downside of it, the other end of the scale for those of us who are now starting off our businesses and are trying to grow our businesses, is that I'm trying to make it possible for us to understand what the ISO standard is about. Once you understand it, and then once you apply the standard to your businesses at this early stage of growth, what it means is that over the years, you grow with these standards. You grow by managing your business according to these standards. And when you get to the point where you have the wherewithal to pursue official certification, which proves that your business runs according to ISO standards, it becomes very easy for you because you would have had several years of practice. So don't presuppose that you are not too big enough to apply these ISO standards in your business. You have to start from the off. Organizations that started from the off have benefited far more than those who started down the line. Yeah. Then more opportunities. Like I said, it opens doors to new customers and then partners. That is what ISO does. If you've been quite attentive to if you've been quite attentive to the packaging of companies like Unilever, you realize that some of their products they write ISO certified, ISO certified. Some paints, some other products across the markets that we use, you realize the producers are careful to add ISO 9001 certified to their packaging or label. It is just to communicate to the market that they subscribe, or the products were produced under certain world-class standards as defined by ISO 9001. So it is really, really important that you try to understand what it's all about and then apply it in your business. Then the last one is better risk management. It helps you spot and manage risks before they become big problems. Every business has risks. In fact, the air we breathe is even a risk to our bodies, but we do need to breathe to be able to survive. So, running your business with ISO allows you to identify all the risks that your business will face, allows you to identify how likely these risks are to occur in your business. And then if they indeed occur in your business, what the impact of these risks are going to be to you. For instance, if you own a bakery, you need to understand what can go wrong in the bakery, i.e., you need to understand what the risks are in the bakery. If you've identified a fire outbreak as a possible risk in your bakery, you need to put measures in place to curtail the risk. For instance, you need to identify how likely it is that a fire outbreak will occur in your bakery, and then ask yourself, if it does occur, how damaging is it going to be to your business, to your bakery? Once you understand the likelihood and impact of it, then you can actually rate the level of the risk to your business, and then you can put in, you can identify mitigation measures you can actually put together. And once the mitigations are in place, you roll the mitigation measures out, and then you identify opportunities that can come out of the risk management process. So, all in all, these are five benefits of implementing ISO 9001 in your business organization. Moving on to the next slide. So, how exactly can we apply ISO to our businesses? How can we establish ISO 9001 standard in our businesses? It's quite a prolonged process. One, it's quite an extensive process. Two, and it is prolonged and extensive depending on the size of your business organization. If you own a very small business, that doesn't have too many departments and all that, then what happens is that it becomes quite easy to roll it out because your organization is quite small. There aren't too many complexities in the organization, and you can just get things going straight away. But if you have an organization that is quite big, if you have an organization that is quite big, for instance, if your organization is as big as Coca-Cola Ghana Limited, which has so many divisions, so many branches, then implementing this standard from the grassroots, from the start, is actually going to be extremely prolonged and then complex. But at the end of the day, no matter the size of your organization, the benefits to your organization as are profound. The benefits are profound. So exactly, the implementation process is these 8 steps. These 8 steps. So if you, I don't really know the size of all your businesses as you're on this meeting, but then the first step is to get the leaders of the organization on board and then make a plan. What this means is that the people who are the helm of affairs of your business have to understand why the company needs to apply ISO 9001 systems in the way the company runs it at first. So I'm not really um, targeting certification at this point, where you bring auditors to come and then audit your organization to verify if you are really running the organization according to the ISO standard or not. But then we have to at least make sure that we are practicing ISO in the organization, so that time that we want to apply for formal certification that we can hang in our offices, that we can send to various prospective clients to bid for contracts, it becomes easy for us. So you first of all need to get your leaders on board. And once the leaders agree that, yes, our company needs to pursue ISO 9001 management system, then the organization can sit together and put together a plan on how to carry it out. Then you need to understand your business and its challenges. The management team and all the management and all the employees needs to understand the business as you already do. It's one thing understanding the business and how it works and what it does and what it doesn't do. And it's another thing understanding the challenges that the business faces. Understanding the challenges that the business faces is better done when you get external parties to get involved with assessing the business. So it's ideal to conduct what we call a business diagnostics. When you go to the hospital and then you tell the doctor you are not feeling well or you are sick, the doctor will not straight away prescribe any medication for you or draw up a treatment plan. The doctor will need to check your temperature, will need to check your weight, will need to run some lab tests before the doctor can ascertain that yes, this is wrong with you, and this is not what is wrong with you. The doctor needs to do diagnostics. Okay, the doctor needs to do diagnostics. And it is the same kind of diagnostics that we need to do to your business before we can ascertain what exactly the challenge in your business is or are. Then we need to set goals for quality and then make a plan. We need to, having understood what the challenges in our business are, we need to tell ourselves as leaders that we need to move our business from where it is to where we can get it to be, and be able to describe our business as providing quality services or world-class services. We need to draw up what we mean by quality and what quality does not mean to us. Then, as part of the entire process, we'll have to create clear policies and procedures. We need to understand what the various functions in the organization are. I mean, what the various departments in the organization are, what those departments do. Okay, so if you are into baking, if you run a bread bakery, we need to understand what the various activities in your bread bakery are. For instance, you need to buy flour. So, what is your procedure for buying the flour? How do you buy the flour? Do you just go to any market and say you want to buy flour? We need to define the standard of flour you want to buy. We need to know which flour supplier you are going to get the flour from. We need to put all these together in policies and procedures, written down, signed, so that anybody that wants to go and buy flour for the bakery would refer to the quality standard for the bakery, what kind of flour we need, where we want to buy the flour from, how much of the flour we want to buy, how old the flour should be, i.e., do we want fresh flour or we want flour that has, yeah, that kind of thing. So all these standards needs to be defined and written down as policies and procedures in organization. Then step five, we need to identify the various resources that the organization will need to be able to carry all this out. ISO implementation in every organization comes with some level of resource provision because as part of the diagnostics, it may become apparent that this is lacking in your business, that is lacking in your business, and so you need to invest to acquire them to facilitate your business operations. For instance, if you run an IT based firm or if you run a formal organization that provides services or even that delivers products, you need to have tools, IT related tools like computer, antivirus software. If you don't have this in your business before you start trying to implement ISO and through the process of implementation, it becomes apparent that you need it, then you need to invest in it. These are some of the tools that we need to get down the line. Then we need to start practicing. We need to start implementing what we have written down on paper practically. Once the implementation starts, after a while, it becomes easy for everyone to follow, and then it becomes part and parcel of everyone in the organization. Then, after a while, you need to conduct some internal audits to compare what you have been doing so far with what you indicated you will do because of what you started this whole ISO program. Then, as part of the review, management has to sit together at least once a year. If you are a sole owner, you may have to do that on your own at this stage. You sit together once a year to review the performance of the organization vis-a-vis what the intended performance levels was. So this is the simple implementation process for ISO 9001 that we can all follow. All right. Now, this is where we begin dissecting the various parts of the ISO standard. There are different sections of it that focus on different things. So we'll look at them from clause 4. From clause 1, clause 2, clause 3 of the ISO standard is not relevant for us. They are informatory clauses. They are not auditable clauses. They are not clauses that provide information that ask us to do anything that are auditable. They just give us guidance and information about the standard to give us deeper understanding. All right. So clause 4 talks about context of the organization. Context of the organization. In clause 4 of the standard, okay, in clause 4, or let me say in part 4, or in the first part of running or implementing ISO 9001 in your organization, you need to look at the context of your organization. You need to make it clear. All these have to be written. You need to establish the purpose of your organization. You need to write it down. So, my company, what does it do? You need to understand your business and what affects it. For instance, if we were using astute business consulting, we will describe what astute business consulting is, what astute does, okay, where we are looking at the services of astute, and we'll look at the various things that can affect astute, i.e., internal factors within astute that can cause problems to astute, and then external factors that can cause problems to astute. So we need to understand the scope of the business. We call it the scope of the organization. We need to understand the scope, and we need to write down the scope clearly. The scope of the organization involves the kind of services the organization provides, the branches or the locations where the organization is, where the organization's products or services reach, i.e., in the market. Do your products reach the limits of Ghana alone, or they go beyond Ghana? All these have to be identified and then written down. So we also need to figure out who important stakeholders and customers are. So in informal or in standard language or in official ISO language, we have to list the interested parties of the organization. When I say interested parties, they are the same as the stakeholders. So internal stakeholders, external stakeholders. We call somebody an interested party or a stakeholder only when the the activities of the business has an impact on that stakeholder or on that party. For instance, employees are affected by the business directly, what the business does and what it doesn't do. Shareholders are equally affected by the business internally. Suppliers are affected by the business. Regulatory bodies like SNIT and then GRA are also affected by what a business does. So any party that has anything to do with the business is identified as an interested party or a stakeholder. So we need to identify all these interested parties or stakeholders, know what they want from the business, and then know what we have to do to satisfy their needs. That is very important for understanding the context of the organization. Then deciding which parts of the standard apply to your business. There are certain aspects of the ISO standard which apply to certain businesses, certain business types, but don't apply to other business types. For instance, there is a clause or there is a section of the standard that talks about design and development. This looks at organizations that manufacture, that design products and then manufacture products, okay, tangible products. If you are running a service based organization, probably buying and selling, some online business, etc. You don't really do any design in your organization, so those that section does not really apply to you. So, as part of understanding the context of your organization, as you write down the context of your organization, we need to look at the parts of the standard that affect your organization and then the parts that don't affect your organization. It's very important. When we come back to looking at the various clauses in detail, one after the other, we'll dissect more into this. Today's session, like I said from the onset, is to provide an overview of everything that um, we need to know before we delve deeper. Now, leadership. Leadership. The purpose of this section of the ISO standard is to make leaders of the organization committed to implementing quality standards in the organization. So to do this, we need to write down clear policies and goals for quality in the organization. So we need to write down a quality policy, what we want to establish in the business as quality before we actually do anything. And this quality policy has to be signed off by the top management, i.e., the leadership of the organization, so that when they have their signatures appended to it, they have no excuse than to carry out everything that has been documented in the quality policy. So this standard or this section of the standard also makes sure that everyone within the organization understands how important quality is to the organization, so that it doesn't the understanding of quality doesn't remain in the minds of only a few people at the top, but spreads to everybody within the organization. Then assigning responsibilities to make sure quality happens. Leadership will have to make sure that everybody knows what his responsibility in the organization is and then carries out his responsibilities as expected when they are expected. So over time, when leadership gets involved in implementing the standard, it becomes very apparent that there will be a cultural shift in the organization. Everybody will understand that quality is a priority in the organization, and then working according to the international quality standard ISO 9001. All right, let's move on to the next one. We are looking at planning. Okay, planning. Over here, we are looking at making plans to improve and reach your. Just a second. Okay, so with planning, we are able to put together various plans that will practically improve the organization and then allow the organization to reach its goals. Its goals. To be able to do that, we need to understand what could go wrong in the organization and then find ways to prevent it, which is risk management, like I said from the start. Then we need to set clear goals for quality and make plans to achieve them. Okay, we need to make plans to achieve the quality goals that we set out. So if there are, if we identify the various processes or activities that we carry out in our organization, we'll be able to set quality targets for each of these activities and then write out processes and procedures that will allow us to hit these quality targets that would have documented. Then, if there will be any change in the organization, maybe we are deciding to add a new product or service line to the organization. It's a major change in the organization that will affect the organization's resources. So we need to understand the change and then handle the change effectively establishing a change management process that will allow us to make changes in our organization in a way that won't harm the levels of quality that we are aspiring to deliver in the organization. The planning phase of the implementation also allows us to put together backup plans when things don't go on as expected. One of the very simple backup plans we understand we can look at is a succession plan in organizations. If an employee leaves, who takes over so that there will be no gap, there will be no problems, there will be no transition difficulties. This is a backup plan that we need to have. If we have a certain contract that we are delivering, what happens if the contract gets cancelled, or what happens if the contract ends? We need to know all this and put together backup plans that can help the business be more sustainable. Yeah, that is with planning. Now let's go on to clause 7, support. Support is all about giving people or giving the employees in the organization the tools and resources they need to do a good job. We need to make sure that there is enough of these resources. First of all, we need to know what resources is needed to carry out the affairs of the organization. Then, once that is understood, we need to make sure that there are enough of these resources that can be used in the organization to hit the targets that we want to hit. Then, for the people, for the human beings in the organization, it's important to make sure that they have the right skills and knowledge to be able to work in the organization. So we need to put together what we call a competency matrix for the organization, whereby we identify the various roles or positions in the organization, and then we define what kind of competencies people should have in the organization before they can be employed to work in those roles in the organization. When we get to this, we will dissect it deeper so it becomes clearer. Then, keeping records and important information organized. We'll look at how to retain documented information or records in the organization so that they are accessible, they are in good condition whenever we need them, in a manner that makes them protected from hacking or distraction or loss, data loss, among others. So this is part of the support systems that we need to put together in every organization. Now, operation. This is the heart of the entire business organization. We need to make sure that the business runs smoothly and delivers good products or services. How do we carry it out? How do we do this? Every day we go to work, we go and then operate in the organization. How do we operate in the organization to make sure that we deliver the good products and services that we are looking at? So, as part of the requirements, we need to plan and control the processes to make sure that things go right. When we say plan the processes, we need to identify the processes, we need to write down the processes, we need to write down the expectations at the end of each process. So when you start this process up to the point that you end this process, what are we expecting to see at the end to be able to ascertain that, yes, indeed, the process has been successful or otherwise? And what control systems can we put in the process to make it that when things are going wrong, we can actually correct it and put things back in line, yeah, in that manner. So we need to know the plans and controls we can have for each process. Then we need to understand what our customers are actually looking for and then deliver it. We are not supposed to sit back and then assume we know what our customers want. Yeah, you may know what your customer wants, is looking for, based on which you started a business. But then once you are engaging with the customer, you need to be interacting regularly with the customer to understand exactly whether the customer's needs have changed or whether the customer has gotten new needs that you could probably satisfy, among others. So it's important we are able to understand this. Then once there are problems, we need to fix the problems and make sure that the mistakes don't happen again as part of the operational management. Then when we deliver our product or we produce our product or we deliver our service, we need to examine the product or service. We need to do some quality checks and all that to make sure that what we are indeed sending out to the customer as the final product or we are delivering to the customer as the final service meets the quality standard that we have established in the organization. All of this we will discuss when we get to clause 8 of the standard. So as we discuss, we will practically establish them in our organization. So I won't just be talking like I'm talking now. I'll make it practical, interactive. You ask questions as pertains to your organization. We discuss and then we find solutions to it for your organization. Let's go to clause 9. So when we were in school, at the end of every term or semester, we will take exams. The exams are meant to assess our performances relative to everything we've learned throughout the academic term or semester. The same applies to performance evaluation. The purpose is to check how well your business is doing and then find ways to improve the areas that are weak. So it deals with checking the various processes in the organization to make sure everything is working well. This comes through internal audits where you can engage some of your own employees to do audits in the organization, or you can engage external auditors to come into the organization to do audits of your processes. Then you collect data and analyze the data to see how things are going, how well you are going. You need to work with data, okay? So one simple data we can look at is revenue results. If January 2023 you generated revenue of or you generated sales of 5,000 cedis, February you did 6,000 cedis, March it went to 2,000 cedis, April 3,000 cedis, May it goes to 1,000 cedis. You need to have all these records, these data. Okay, you need to have this data, and then you analyze these data on a month-on-month basis or weekly basis or whatever frequency you would prefer. And once you do this analysis, it becomes easy for you to, base on the data, to see the patterns of growth in your business and where the patterns are going beyond the limits. You can discuss, find what really went on as root causes, take corrective actions to fix them. This is part of the performance evaluation. There are various ways to actually do this, which we will discuss when we get there. Then check in with your customers to see if they are happy with your services. You do this through a customer satisfaction survey, whether you call the customers on the phone and then ask them questions to see and then tick as they give you the responses, or you send them emails with your questionnaire for them to fill out. The questionnaire shouldn't be very detailed, very basic questionnaire for them to be able to fill out quickly. And then they send back to you, and then, yeah, you have information to work with. Then also, your management team should be having what we call management review meetings, where you sit together and then you review all your activities over the period, see where you need to improve. This is really supposed to be a meeting where human beings who are part of the management team sit together physically. Well, it could be physically as it was in the past, or be more virtual as we have in these days. So the management team will sit together and then discuss the performance of the business over the period, and then make changes or improvements, recommendations as will be required. So that is that with clause 9. Then we go on to clause 10, improvement. So once you do the performance evaluation and then you see where things are falling short, you definitely have to find ways to improve or make things better. So over here, you fix problems that you may find in your business and make sure that they don't happen again. We fix that problem through a corrective action process, root cause analysis, and all that. When we get to this, we will look at it extensively. It's very interesting, very, very interesting, where we look at the difference between correction and then corrective action, and we understand root cause analysis properly. When we get to this, I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So, these are the 10 clauses, but essentially they are eight from clause 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are seven clauses or seven sections of the ISO standard that um, we will be discussing. We'll be discussing with the purpose of making it possible for all small businesses in Ghana to be able to run their organizations in a manner that meets the global standard of ISO 9001. And once you're able to do that, you'll be amazed by the growth that your business will enjoy. Okay. So tips for implementing ISO 9001. Yeah. The first step is to get support from your leaders and make a plan together. We've already discussed this. We need to make sure everyone knows why quality is important in the organization and helps the business. This understanding has to be widespread in the organization. Then we need to give training to the people, sorry, and give them the tools they need to do a good job. Resource provision. We looked at this. Then take things step by step and don't try to do everything at once. It has to be procedural, gradual. That is why you need to start it as soon as possible. Make all the mistakes that you need to make in your business. Then you fix them. Over time, you get a very perfect system that allows you to run automatically without any hindrances. Then, then we have keep keep looking for ways to make things better and involve everyone in the process. So once the business starts running according to ISO, we need to look for ways that we can always make things better in the business, make things better. And once things are very good in the organization, it becomes automatic and very straightforward. Then, if you need help, ask someone who knows about ISO 9001. I'm sure as we go along, all the help you need, you can put across to us, and then we'll help you resolve them. Then, conclusion. Well, we've recapped the various key points covered in the last slide. What I'll do is to encourage you to think deeply about how you can implement the standard in your organization. I assure you, running your business according to the standard ISO 9001 will give you maximum efficiency. It clears a lot of the headache that businesses face. It makes everything automated, smooth. Everybody knows what he or she is supposed to do at every point in time. And once you run or you operate your business by this standard, growth becomes very easy. Growth becomes very easy. All right. So at this point, you spent about 54 minutes with me on this training. If you have any questions, please share them. If you have any comments to make as well, let me have them. Anybody?
It's 1 o'clock.
All right. Please go ahead, Royal Farms. Any questions from anybody? All right. You can unmute yourself and then. Okay. Thank you for the presentation. My question is the ISO certification really good for SMEs? That is from Lucrate General. Okay. Is the ISO certification really good for SMEs? The answer is it is the best for SMEs. Okay. It's the best for SMEs. That is why we have put this program together. When I was starting, I was explaining that when you walk into, let's say, Unilever, I don't know how many of you have entered the Unilever premises before. Everything is, I'll use the word pristine. Everything is in order. Everything is organized properly. Everything is organized properly. I went there while a student about 13 years ago. We were so impressed how a Ghanaian facility could have things as organized as they were. Everybody knew what he or she was supposed to do and all that. That is what we tend to assume for, let's say, global organizations, that ISO is for only global organizations or ISO is for big companies only. But what I want to say through these sessions is ISO is for everybody. Every organization can implement the ISO standard. Okay, you can implement the ISO culture and processes. Once you implement the standard, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should go for certification or you should go for auditors to come and then audit your organization for certification. It's just to make it possible for you to start practicing what all these big organizations, all these global organizations practice. You practice them as quickly as possible so that your growth can be faster. You don't need to pay for certifications. Okay. So the next question is about the annual renewal fees. So you're saying the annual renewal fee is very high, and I'm wondering if a small business can afford that yearly to retain certification. So yet again, what we are doing through these trainings is not to push you to go and pursue certification. It is to help you start practicing the standard in your organization so that you start reaping the benefits of it. Eventually, when your organization expands and you can afford certification and you want to pursue certification because you want to chase some contracts, you can pursue certification. I'm sure by the time your business would have been strong enough to finance the cost thereof. But at this stage, I really, really want you guys to be able to start applying the ISO standard in your organization. Okay, so you are asking about the recording. Yeah, I'll make a recording available after this. I'll share a link to the video so that you can play back and then access all that you need to access. Yeah, I'll share the recording, so don't worry about that. Yeah, Mr. Okay, so thank you very much. You're welcome. You're welcome. We have 2 minutes to hit the hour. Any further questions? So we can draw the curtains. Any more? All right. So I see Mr. Kingsford. Yeah, you can go ahead. If you'd like to unmute yourself, you can do so and then speak. If not, you can.
Oh, okay, sir. Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon.
I came in, yeah, I came in late, but I wanted to know, can we get the slides too?
Yes, yes, I can make that available to you as well. I'll make that available.
Okay,
So,
and then I want to also know your location. If somebody want to come and see you personally to discuss something.
okay, we have our office in Tema Community 6. We have an office in Tema Community 6. It's not hidden. It's very easily accessible. So if you get off the motorway along the Tema General Hospital Road, we are along that stretch. We are along that stretch. We are easy to access via Google Maps as well. All our contact information is on our website. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, one more hand was up. Yeah, Mr. Royal Farms. Do you still have your question? Okay. Yeah, you can have a PDF of everything. So I'll share that shortly after this session ends. In fact, I'll do that for all our sessions so that you can refer to them as often as you want.
Okay.
All right. So, with all that being said and
Sir,
done,
please, the last question, I beg. Sir,
all right.
please, I have one last question.
Hello.
So, sir, I want to know, after the training, is there a certification available for someone?
Well, I didn't intend issuing certificates because my purpose for all this was to get as many local businesses as possible running or practicing the ISO standard. However, if you want certification to evidence your participation in all our sessions, as we go along, we'll discuss that and see how we can make that feasible.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. One more question? Okay. So thank you for making the time to join us this afternoon. We will do this at least once a week. Okay. At least once a week, which means that there may be some times that we'll have it twice a week. But whatever the case may be, I will communicate any scheduling to you over the WhatsApp pages. The WhatsApp page, it's only one page, so that we can actually um, make this most effective. Yeah, Joyce, please go on. You can unmute yourself.
Okay, thank you very much for a wonderful session. So I have a question. It's kind of extra. It is not somehow related to what we thought, but I would want to find out whether there is certification at the end of this training, and also whether we will be receiving recordings after every session. Thank you.
All right. So we will provide recordings, we'll provide the material that we have gone through after each session. Like I answered earlier, we didn't intend providing certification for this training, but with the requests that have come up for certification, I think it's something that we have to consider providing. So as you go along, just do your best to attend as many of our sessions as possible. At the end of the day, we are likely to get a certification process going so that those of you who would like certification for, yeah, I know certification is important for various jobs and all that. So we will see how we can actualize it. So don't worry. Don't worry. Okay, Royal Farms. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, please go on.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Thank you very much. I unfortunately joined the session quite late.
All right.
Unfortunately, I joined the session quite late.
All right.
But the ISO, I know maybe after the session I would go through it somewhere. But I would wanted to ask if there can be a real explanation on that. But that would take much of our time. My point is this. Also, my question is this: are there other funding opportunities for business ideas? Because I'm speaking from Upper West,
All right. All right. That's fine.
maybe in the course of the whole session. Mhm.
So beyond this session that we are conducting with you, we have other consulting services that we provide, and as part of our services, we do investor introductions. So if you have projects that are worthy of funding, okay, because it's not every project that qualifies for funding.
Okay.
If you have projects that meet
That
the
is, yeah,
funding,
that is true.
we can look at it and then see how we can best
Recommend.
to introduce your project to some investors that we have in our pipeline.
Okay, 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 okay. I think that is my point. Okay.
All right.
But I also want to add to the voices who, for once at least in the course of time, if there's a way for this, would also go a long way to aid us when it comes to one or two issues.
I didn't get that. Can you explain that question?
What I mean is that as I'm adding up to the voices who we're all calling for certification, at least in the course of the sessions, this can be a reprogrammed where there can be a certificate for us after the sessions or training.
All right.
I
All right.
think most of the institutions recognize it.
All right. So what it
Thank you.
will mean is that you have to be very punctual for all the sessions that we put together, because we cannot issue certificate
Okay.
for for a regular absentee. It is actually a dent
Okay.
on our organizational credibility. So we will think about the certification process
Yeah. Sure. Sure.
and then communicate with you as you go along. All right.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay. There's
Okay.
room
Thank
for
you. We'll reserve some of the questions for the next session.
All right. All right. There's room for one last question from anybody else. If there is, let's have it. Okay. So, what projects do you consider worthy for funding or line of products that have been funded so far? I think you should contact us beyond this meeting, so we look at that. I'll probably share some information in the WhatsApp group for your assessment. For your assessment. So that question I'll answer later on. All right. So thank you once again for making the time. I'll share details of our next meeting, so you can actually get yourselves ready. Thank you very much and have a pleasant day. Bye.